I want to talk about an article that I found on Huffington Post, which I think it also goes kind of hand in hand with what we're talking about here, which is artificial artificial activities, artificial activities that are being done to not only suppress independent media, but to prop up dying forms of politics. So, Jordan, do you have minds.com? No, we're looking into it though. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me. So, headline, how a Twitter fight over Bernie Sanders revealed a network of fake accounts. So before I get to this story, let me give you a little behind the scenes. Obviously, those of you that know, I was fired from the Young Turks in November. I addressed that in the first video, actually, that I did on this channel. So if you missed that, go check it out. I was fired in November. A lot of false things were said about me. I digress. Very happy to be on my own now. So I was fired, and there was, obviously there's a false assault allegation out there about me, which was 110%, is 110% on. So all of a sudden, I start seeing a lot of the same accounts with the same exact tweets, adding me to lists with Harvey Weinstein and Mark Halperin and all these people who have done very, very bad things in terms of sexual assault and other things. Harvey Weinstein, Mark Halperin, all these things. They bad guys. Let's not make no mistake about it. So I start seeing my name put on a list with all these bad people, and it's from very similar accounts that I'm not familiar with. And I click on the accounts, and they're bots. They're bot accounts, and they are, I looked at them, and you start seeing the same trend that the only things they post are anti-Bernie, anti-progressive people. They were going after me. They've gone after Matt Taibbi from Rolling Stone. They've gone after just about every progressive media journalist or commentator. And I started looking into it, and I don't have direct evidence, but it seemed to me that most of these bots, when you looked at who they followed and who they were associated with, they were all people linked to David Brock. David Brock ran Hillary Clinton's Correct the Record super PAC. He's known as kind of like the David Koch, not in terms of money, but in terms of he's just known as like a Democratic Party, the old establishment kingmaker. He's a foul man. He's a dirty player. I remember I confronted him on the campaign trail right before the South Carolina primary because he was orchestrating really down in the mud ads, calling out Bernie Sanders to release his medical records, even though there was no controversy there at all. But he was saying, why won't he release the records? That kind of stuff. And he's been behind so many slimy things, deceptive things, and he is a very, very valued member of the Democratic Party. He also, after Hillary lost, he's had like one of these Koch party summits where he had all the big dollar donors come to like some private secluded location, and you got to sign something where you won't say what's going on there, like very, very secretive, secret society stuff. So I noticed all these accounts that were writing the same exact post about me, adding me to a list with all these bad men who assaulted people. Again, I did not do that. I would never do that. I hope those of you who know me, who watch me, know that that was not true, that accusation. So, whatever. I mean, there was nothing I could do about it. At that point, I was laying low and going on. So, but it's known that David Brock has basically, he has an army of bots and trolls. They were there during the campaign to correct the record and correct digital misinformation. They actually did way more of spreading disinformation than actually correcting any disinformation. Okay, so why this is important is, okay, Hillary Clinton lost, that's been covered to death. And, this progressive uprising is happening. I mean, it's happening. We have a record number of progressive candidates running. Progressives have won in many, many states on the local level. You got Nina Turner is rising, leading Our Revolution. And it's unmistakable that the progressive movement and the Bernie Sanders wing of the party is growing to the point where I think you're going to see a progressive wave this year. And many, many progressives come into Congress. So as a result, the neoliberal Democratic establishment is dying. They're trying to pretend they're not. And, CNN and all these people, they keep booking, Howard Dean and Neera Tanden from the Center of American Progress, and all these people. Before we start the rumors, behind me is my business partner, Jen. We're working on the business up here. So let's not get out of control. When they want to keep their numbers artificially up, when they want to make it seem like they're still very, very, they have the movement and they have the numbers. I'm talking about the neoliberal establishment. What do? Well, apparently, members of this neoliberal, democratic, corporate establishment are enlisting bots to basically prop up their social media posts. Again, Huffington Post article, how a Twitter fight over Bernie Sanders revealed a network of fake accounts. One Democratic Party consultant said an unnamed client controlled many of these accounts. So, I like Abby Martin a lot. Big fan of Abby Martin. I actually, myself, have subscribed to her podcast, which has a Patreon, which I would suggest you do too. I'm going to read you some of this. And press the share button. When Russians at the Internet Research Agency interfered in U.S. politics, they created false online personas and fake political groups to amplify divisive messages that already had a homegrown American audience. It's not too far from what some U.S. political consultants are doing themselves. Yeah, like David Brock. Okay. Take Sally Albright. Before I go on, I don't know if you know who Sally Albright is. She is one of these very, very establishment. She loves Hillary. She's in that circle. She's never met a corporate establishment candidate that she doesn't like. She also has been one of the loudest voices criticizing Bernie Sanders. She says he's a fraud. She says he's racist. She says he is, misogynist and all this stuff. And she has a good social media following, or I thought she did. She says that free public college tuition is racist. I still don't get that. So she's one of the Center for American Progress types. She's in that circle. So, and she's a consultant, which also, the consultants basically own the Democratic Party. So Sally Albright, a Democratic Party communications consultant who backed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton in 2016. Unsurprisingly, Albright is vocally opposed to President Donald Trump and a big supporter of the resistance to his administration. She is also one of the loudest, most divisive voices attacking Bernie Sanders, Clinton's one-time Democratic primary opponent, and his left-wing supporters. Well, after the primary, Albright continues to claim that Sanders is a fraud, a liar, a racist, and corrupt. Is he corrupt because he owns several homes? Nobody said you can't be successful in America. It's just, how did you get that wealth? Bernie Sanders actually is one of the lowest paid politicians in the United States of America. But I digress. He's corrupt, among many other things. In one instance, she declared that the policy idea of free college, as promoted by Sanders, is racist. This provoked Sanders supporters to argue back. Trevor, a Sanders supporter who declined to provide his last name for fear of being doxxed, but goes by @LIKING online, that's liking online, on Twitter, noticed a strange pattern of behavior when Albright responded to him. Her tweets addressing him were rapidly retweeted by the same series of accounts. So exactly what I described happening to me in December, January. This created a barrage of notifications, making it look as though there was an avalanche of opposition to everything he said. But as Trevor discovered, after an extensive amount of research that he posted online, these were not normal accounts. They appeared to be bots, automated accounts masked as real people being used to amplify a particular political message. Who is really pulling the strings, however, remains a mystery. No, it doesn't. Albright told Huffington Post, wait for this, that the accounts were voluntarily handed over by their original users to an unnamed client of hers to be automated in, quote, an analytics program. She said she was bound by a non-disclosure agreement and could not disclose who was collecting and automating these accounts or for what purpose. But like her, these accounts were all pro-Clinton, anti-Trump, and anti-Sanders. So let's get something straight here. Analytics, like I don't want to get into the weeds, but like YouTube has analytics. So if you have a YouTube page, you click on the analytics tabs and it then tells you how many subscribers did you grow between certain dates? How many views are you getting? How many likes are you getting? How many dislikes are you getting? How many shares? What's the average watch time people are watching you? All good information. But analytics do not retweet. Analytics pages don't then like retweet your tweets on Twitter. That's preposterous. It's just analytics. It gives you numbers, which is important if you're trying to grow your audience and know what's popular, what's not. So she's saying that her accounts were voluntarily handed over by their original users to an unnamed client of hers to be automated in an analytics program. I mean, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. That doesn't make any sense. I want to introduce Jen, but she said she doesn't want to be in the video. What can I do? She's very busy at work too, but she said she didn't want to be in the video, so what can I tell you? She's a behind-the-scenes person. So Twitter allows users to automate their accounts, including setting up automatic retweeting and liking of other accounts. This increases activity on the platform, something Twitter obviously wants to do, and allows busy users to promote messages or businesses that they support. Presumably, Twitter did not anticipate that users would simply hand their accounts over to another person or campaign to artificially spread the latter's tweets. By the way, they're not handing them over. They're paying these other accounts to basically prop up their retweets, their shares, and to, by the way, harass people that they don't agree with. Whether it's harassing me over bullshit things that were not true, they harass a lot of other progressives. So it gets kind of tedious because when I tweet things, you start seeing the same exact people over and over, and then you look at their account and they barely have any followers and they're clear bots. I don't mind criticism on Twitter or anywhere else. Bring it on. Before I saw all these bots, I never blocked anyone. But I've had to start blocking these people because they're just annoying. They're annoying. But I think this is telling for several reasons, because this is, like, who cares about Sally Albright? Like, she's not a major news story. But what is telling is the artificial, whether it's YouTube censoring independent journalists, which, as I described in the beginning of this video, is happening, or Twitter, through all these paid bots, giving like this artificial impression that neoliberal establishment corporate Democrats are all the rage. They're not all the rage. They're not all the rage. And by the way, this guy Connor Lamb that just won last night, it appears he won, very narrow race. Would I rather him than the Republican? Yeah, I would. However, he basically ran as a Republican. But he also ran on universal health care, strengthening unions. So that's the thing that these corporate Democrats don't want to tell you. He's running on economically, he ran on very similar things to Bernie Sanders, universal health care, strong unions. He was anti-NAFTA. No, we don't want to talk about that. They don't want to address that the candidates that are succeeding are running on strengthening and expanding entitlement programs that we have bought into, are running on anti-corporate trade deals. He moonwalked faster than Michael Jackson, R.I.P., away from Nancy Pelosi. So it's not that he's running, like, he's not that he's a conservative Democrat, although he's not who I would have wanted as a Democrat. So you got to pick your poison. I didn't want the Republican, but he's not the best choice either. He's pro-fracking. I think he's pro-life. He's pro something else I didn't like. So all this artificial propping up. CNN does it. Now, CNN, you rarely see actual progressive people like Bernie type people. Nina Turner's on CNN from time to time. Other than that, do you see progressive people on the Sunday morning shows? No. Do you see them on Anderson Cooper at night? No. Even though this is the rising tide in America, this is the rising movement in America, you're not seeing capital P progressives. And on Twitter, you're getting an amplification of the Sally Albrights. Forget Sally Albright. All you got to know, she is a very well-known Democratic Party establishment figure. She's in Neera Tanden's circle. She's in John Podesta's circle. She's in Center for American Progress's circle. And those people are propping up. They're getting artificial propping up. And I don't want to say this is as dangerous as like a YouTube censoring independent journalists, but it is dangerous if you care about truth. I'll read you a little bit more. The ability to swamp a debate with automated messages is a problem for political discourse around the world. Twitter is a vital platform for political debate. Automating Twitter accounts to retweet or otherwise promote specific messages thus becomes a tactic to silence political debate and squelch free speech, particularly to silence political debate when when what you're trying to silence are the progressives. In Mexico, allies of President Enrique Peña Nieto have deployed swarms of Twitter bots to overwhelm and effectively shut down online debates. Journalists in the U.S. experienced a similar flood during the 2016 election from pro-Trump neo-Nazi sock puppet accounts, posting anti-Semitic death threats. Often, instead of suppressing speech it doesn't like, the Chinese government these days drowns it on local social media platforms with a flood of pro-government content. University of North Carolina scholar Zeynep Tufekci has labeled this tactic as a new form of censorship. This is what I'm saying. This is censorship. You are drowning out Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. You're drowning out progressive voices, which is shown. Facebook, I might as well not even have a Facebook account anymore because people cannot even see my videos that I post. I post on facebook.com/Jordan Sheridan. Like the page if you haven't. People tell me they don't even see my posts. It's absurd. And this is even more troubling. You know, it's hard for me. Don't get me wrong. It's hard for me, especially if you're trying to grow a YouTube channel or an eventual media network, which we're trying to do. We're trademarking a name. I think you're going to love the name. We're also have a logo being designed as we speak. But what about up-and-coming, aspiring political candidates that are being drowned out by neoliberal Democratic establishment bots on the internet? What about aspiring independent journalists, which is very dear to my heart? I think there needs to be an explosion of new independent journalism in the United States. That's part of why I want to launch this company and network. So what about these people? How are they supposed to either launch a successful political campaign if they're getting artificially drowned out on the Twitter or let's say on YouTube because neoliberal establishment bots are basically neoliberal John Podesta wing of the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton wing of the Democratic Party, because they won't go silently in the night with some grace and let the new wave come in. They got plenty of money. Go away. But instead, they're paying bots, fake accounts, to drown out those people. And it's even harder for independent journalists, because you want to know something? How are you supposed to grow an audience, grow a company, if people can't see your content? If people aren't getting YouTube notifications, if people don't see your tweets in their timeline, even if you're following them, which is happening to me right now. If people don't see your posts on Facebook, you can't expect people to just check in every 15 minutes to see if you posted a video or posted a tweet. This is censorship, and it hurts people. By the way, I would be equally against this if it was conservative journalists they were doing this to. I would be equally against this too if it's Republican, like Ted Cruz wing of the party. Let people decide whether it's the journalists they want to watch or the politicians they want to vote for. Let them decide based on the merits. Let them decide based on the policy or the content. These accounts also like hashtag resistance celebrities like liberal conspiracy theorist Eric Garland, time for some game theory, and Harvard law professor Lawrence Tribe, and they were often deployed in intra-democratic battles. When Albright led a Twitter campaign to attack a 2017's women's conference for the crime of inviting Bernie Sanders to speak, after Clinton, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Senator Kirsten Gillibrand had turned them down. So let's get this straight. They invited Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren, Kirsten Gillibrand, and then Bernie after they got turned down. The automated account network deployed to retweet her and any positive response to her tweets. So it's this artificial nonsense. And by the way, this isn't only on social media. So this is how it works, folks. When Sally Albright, or David Brock, or any of these John Podesta, Hillary Clinton wing, we're at 200. Let's keep it going, baby. Press the share button. When these people get all their tweets artificially enhanced, and they send their little army to attack journalists or attack Bernie or attack whatever, you know who then picks it up? Establishment-friendly journalists at the Washington Post, owned by Amazon CEO, who's also in business with the CIA. So the Washington Post picks up these social media controversies where Bernie's under attack. Or digital sites pick up, oh, Matt Taibbi from Rolling Stone is under attack because fake sock puppets are attacking him, paid for by the Democratic Party establishment. And then it becomes a news story. I've seen it time and time again where you see news stories of essentially progressive journalists, progressive politicians, progressive celebrities, whatever. Susan Sarandon, by the way, has been a victim of this, where she has been harassed by these bots for the crime of not voting for Hillary Clinton, or saying that she thought, of course she doesn't like Donald Trump, but she thinks more people are now awake because he's been made president. She's been under siege. We used to call that yellow journalism, Jordan. I agree. Nina Turner, by the way, I don't want to speak for her, but I'm very well aware that she's been a victim of this kind of sock puppet bot harassment. So we're all hyperventilating over the evil boogeyman in Russia, the scary Russia. Yes, you're right, Gabriel. A lot of this talk and reporting is in my book. That's patreon.com/corporateconjob. Chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are out now. Subscribe at patreon.com/Jordan Sheridan. But this is a cycle. First, these establishment jerk-offs. Twitter might demonetize me. Facebook might demonetize me because I use the word jerk-off. It's unreal. First, they get an army of paid bots to basically make them seem more popular, make their ideas seem more popular than they actually are, and then it picked up in the media, and progressive ideas, progressive momentum gets suppressed.